Big thanks to 10B4 for suggesting this video topic on my Patreon. Wednesday video topics are chosen by awesome supporters like you. If you want to see your name explain idea come to life, support us on Patreon for just $1 a month. Also enjoy ad-free videos, sneak peeks, and your name at the end of these videos. Name Explain relies on support from viewers like you. Visit patreon.com/nameexplain or click the link down below. Anyway, the @ is perhaps the symbol most deeply linked with modern communication and social media, thanks to its use in the middle of email addresses and the fact it's used to signify users on various platforms too. Yet despite being so seemingly modern, the sign itself actually dates back hundreds of years. The oldest recorded @ we have evidence of dates back to 1354, way before Twitter handles and email addresses, that's for sure. Its use in this example is very different to how we see the sign used today. It's found in a document known as the Manasses Chronicle, a religious text written by Byzantine chronicler Constantine Manasses. This document was originally written in Greek, but the @ is actually found in a Bulgarian translation of this text instead. In this Bulgarian version of Greek writing, the @ is used in place of the capital Alpha, the Greek forebearer to our modern A, in the word of Amen. It's so odd that our earliest known evidence of this symbol is it being used in this context. It's weird because we have no other evidence of the symbol being used in this way. And it's weird because to our modern eyes, it looks like someone is tagging all men in a tweet or something. What's most odd about it, however, is we seem to have no idea why this sign was used in this instance. This symbol doesn't have all that much history of being used in place of other letters in religious documents. We have way more evidence of this symbol being used in the past in the world of trade and commerce, as opposed to the world of religion. In the past, this symbol was chiefly used in place of the phrase "at a rate of" on market signs or accounts documents. In example, if you were selling coconut and you had a special offer of 10 coconuts for £5, you could write on your sign 10 coconut at 50p a coconut. Is 50p good for a coconut? How much is a coconut these days? I have no idea. But it was in this way that the @ was used for a very long time, especially in the Middle Ages to the early modern age. Unlike other commonly used symbols, we don't know its exact origins. Instead, we have multiple theories of its origin. One idea is that it may come from the word of arroba, an old word for a unit of weight, used in various languages found on the Iberian Peninsula, like Spanish, Portuguese, and Catalan. This word in turn came from the Arabic arub, meaning a quarter. This fits with the heavy Arabic influence that occurred in this part of the world. This theory doesn't really explain, however, how the word of arroba morphed into the modern @. Theories that relate to the origin of this symbol shape include the idea it may come from the Latin word for toward, ad. The idea goes that monks writing in Latin grew tired of writing this word, and eventually the D in the word morphed into the squiggle around the A. Another idea is that it comes from the old French word for at, R, with people writing in cursive resulting in the accent mark swooping around the entire letter. Another theory is that the sign started life as a shortening of the phrase each at, with the circle around the A representing the E of each. Whatever the case, the symbol came into being and became linked with commerce. This is why in the past the symbol was known as the commercial at, but this name hasn't stuck around all that much. In this day and age, the simple name of the @ sign is the most universally agreed upon one. It isn't the most fun or creative name, but it gets the job done, I suppose. There are, however, some other interesting names that are out there which have had varying degrees of success, whether that be the simple name of the @ mark or the more creative ones like the aspersand or the ampersand, which are plays on the ampersand, the correct name for the and sign. There's also, however, a collection of way more creative names for this sign too, most of which relate to the shape of the thing and what people have felt it looks like. Many of these names come from other languages too, but for easier sake I will just share their English translations. This includes the names of the strudel, the whirlpool, the monkey tail, the whelk, the worm, and the little dog. Some of these are really cute and deserve wider usage, so hopefully me talking about them here will raise awareness of them. If I were to give it a silly name, I'd call it a retracted Q, as it kind of looks like a lowercase q with the tail curled around itself. Actually, you know what? I'd call it a pigtail, because it's all curled around like a pig's tail. Plus that name goes nicely with the name of the pig pen for the hashtag. Every symbol needs a pig-centric name, I feel. But pig tangent aside, what we can see is that for the longest time, this was actually a very niche symbol, used primarily in the world of trade. They were occasionally used in place of the letter alpha too, clearly. Yet, like actual human history, the @ sign went for a bit of a dark age of its own. There was a good couple hundred years where the @ sign stopped being used. even in trade. This was mainly due to changing communication technology. The @ didn't find a place on the printing press, and more importantly, it wasn't featured on many typewriters. As typewriters became the dominant writing tool, it meant there was far less chance of this symbol being used. The @ lack of presence on typewriters meant that through much of the 18th, 19th, and 20th century, it fell into deeper and deeper obscurity, becoming dormant in the world of written language. Yet, like the one ring at the bottom of Gladden River, the @ would be found once again. Yet instead of being found by a hobbit, it was instead salvaged and saved from obscurity by a guy named Ray Tomlinson in 1971, though he does look a bit Tolkien-esque, in the best way possible though. Tomlinson worked for a company named BBN Technologies, who were hired by the US government in this year to help them develop a computer network which allowed their computers to connect to one another. This was being dubbed the ARPANET. The ARPA in this name stood for Advanced Research Projects Agency, and of course the ARPANET was the forebearer to our modern internet. Back to Ray Tomlinson, however. One of his jobs in all of this was to figure out a way in which people could send messages to one another via their computers. One of the biggest issues with this, however, was figuring out how these messages would be addressed. Each user needed a way to signify who they were, in the same way an actual letter has senders' names on it. Yet, not only did messages need to have a sender's name on it, they also needed to signify what actual computer it was coming from. This is because different people would use different computers, and as this was being set up for the US government, everything had to be as transparent and secure as possible. Every message needed to clearly state who sent it and what machine it came from. Tomlinson decided that every person needed a unique identifier when it came to sending messages, and these identifiers would include the person's name, as well as the name of the computer they were using. The titles couldn't just be the person's name and a computer name, however. That was too vague in computer terms. Tomlinson decided that there needed to be a symbol of some kind between the two of them, mainly for coding reasons, so the computer knows what exactly to do with these addresses and commands. As this was for computer coding reasons, the symbol couldn't really be one that was already being widely used in coding, because that could potentially confuse everything. These were pretty simple computers compared to what we have now. So what Tomlinson needed was a symbol people had easy access to, but not one which was already being used regularly or as well established in the world of computing and coding. Suffice to say, finding a symbol that met both of these requirements was pretty tricky. Tomlinson was stumped. But then he saw something. The computer he was using was a Model 33 teletype, and on this machine the key for the letter P was also being used for another symbol, that being the @. At this point, the @ was barely being used. It had fallen into the pits of obscurity. It was even out of vogue in the world of trade and commerce, and it wasn't really being used in the world of coding either. All this made the symbol perfect for Tomlinson to use in his computer addresses. It was accessible on his keyboard and many other keyboards, and it lacked wider usage, meaning people wouldn't get confused with anything else. Yet to me, the @ was more than just a usable symbol. It has some deeper meaning. The whole point of these addresses was to let people know who the message was from and what computer they were at. Using this sign in these addresses literally tells people that the message is from so-and-so at so-and-so computer. It's perfect. Whether this was intentional or not, however, I have minimal idea. I don't think it was, as Tomlinson himself said in an interview that he was mostly looking for a symbol that wasn't used much, and there wasn't a lot of options. An exclamation point or a comma. I could have used an equal sign, but that wouldn't have made much sense. So it seems like I'm reading a tad too much into the deeper meaning of this symbol, like an English teacher reading Lord of the Flies or something. It was also super lucky that Tomlinson's computer even had the @ on it as an option. Like I said, they weren't really being used all that much by 1971, so it's impressive a computer even bothered to include one on its keyboard. Yet with a symbol in place, Tomlinson tested his new messaging system, sending a message from one computer in his room to another. It was a success, and while Tomlinson has since stated he can't remember what that original message said, it is widely regarded as the first email ever. And from there, email became a key way in which we communicate across the World Wide Web, bringing the @ from the brink of obscurity and making it one of the most well-known symbols of today. And if this wasn't enough, it became even more well-known when various social media platforms and online forums decided to use it as part of their usernames. The use of the @ in usernames seems like a natural extension to how they were being used in email addresses. It's truly amazing how this random symbol, which went from being used only in niche circles circumstances to falling out of use altogether, has gone on to become one of the most regularly used symbols out there. All because one guy needed an uncommon symbol and his specific computer had that one on it. Since then, however, the @ symbol has gone on to find some other meanings too, ranging from being used as a patent symbol, being used to make certain words gender neutral in Spanish, and even being used by some anarchists in place of their Circle A symbol, which it looks weirdly similar to. So it's gotten a lot of mileage to say the least. The last thing it's worth highlighting is the fact that Ray Tomlinson, the father of email and the man who saved the @ sign, actually passed away a few years back in 2016 at just 74 years old. So thank you, Ray, for your impact on online communication and on written language as a whole. Sorry I compared you to Gollum earlier. Name Explain depends on viewers like yourself supporting the channel financially on Patreon, so a huge thank you to everyone who does. Donating just $1 a month helps the channel amazingly and gets you bonuses including ad-free videos, exclusive content, the power to request ideas to be made into actual Name Explain videos, and your name at the end of the video with all these awesome people. Visit patreon.com/Name Explain or click the link down below to find out how you too can support the channel. Thank you. Thanks for reaching the end of the video. Why not watch another and subscribe to keep up to date on all things Name Explain. You can find myself on Instagram where I'm NameExplainYT and join the Facebook group Friends of Name Explain to talk with myself and other name nerds. All that will be linked down below. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and once again, thank you all so much.